What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. This is a hot day for the Cavaliers. We're going to talk about Cavaliers who traded Derrick Rose and Jay Crowder to the Jazz. And they traded Iman Shumpert to the Kings. The Jazz obviously will trade Rodney Hood to the Cavs and Joe Johnson to the Kings. And the Kings the Kings trade George Hill to the Cavs. So this is a big trade, bigger than what we thought would happen, but some people already said that George Hill was rumored to go to the Cavaliers. People already said that the Cavaliers are going to try to make a run at Rodney Hood. The best part about this trade for the Cavs is that they get size. George Hill is taller and longer than Isaiah Thomas, who was a mismatch offensively and defensively. If he can't outscore you, he gonna give a lot of points up at the other end. George Hill, his defense has slipped, but playing for a team like Cleveland, where he has a legitimate chance at winning the championship, you might see his defense go back to the way it used to be when he was at Indiana, because now he has a chance of winning. Now he has a chance to go to the finals, and now he can play harder because now he's playing for a team where the wins in the games are bigger and it matters more, compared to going to the Kings where they're not winning, they're not trying to make the playoffs, they're trying to rebuild. You start to get bad habits and you start to not play as hard because you're not really playing for anything besides the contract and staying relevant in the NBA. His contract is a little bit ridiculous, but he's basically what they need. A guy that doesn't need the ball. He's a guy that doesn't have to have the ball in his hands that much. He's not really known as a playmaker, even though he can get to the rim. He can create his own shot. They don't really need him to do that much in Cleveland, which can save some energy for him so he can play harder defensively, because point guard position is the deepest position in the game. So he might sacrifice a little bit of his touches, but he can get a lot more easier points playing off of LeBron James and getting some backdoor cuts, getting some spot up threes, getting some transition layups and dunks. It makes his game and his job easier, and the easier it is for him to score, the more energy he has for defense. And honestly, he's playing better than, Derrick Rose, who needs the ball in his hands and can't shoot. Iman Shumpert has been a bust this year. They signed him to that extension. Obviously, they didn't really need him this year because he's been injured majority of the year, and he has been one of their better, most versatile defender, but he's not as good as a shooter as Hill. He's not as consistent as Hill, and Hill is basically an upgrade over Derrick Rose and Iman Shumpert to me, especially since he doesn't, like I said, need the ball to be effective. He can actually shoot threes. He's shooting 40% from three, and that helps LeBron to have that outlet to always kick the ball out to Kevin Love, to kick the ball out to Rodney Hood, and to kick the ball out to a player like George Hill, while you still, have a lot of floor spacing, because LeBron can shoot the threes now too. And like I said, George Hill can create his own shot more consistently than Iman Shumpert. He's a significantly better shooter than Derrick Rose and a better fit in general and defender than Derrick Rose. Obviously, Jay Crowder has been a bust this year for the Cavaliers, so losing him, you lose some size, you lose some length, but you're getting it right back with Rodney Hood. Obviously, you still have Jeff Green on the bench. Worst case scenario, you give him minutes. Plus, you still got LeBron James, a guy that's a small forward, and you still got Kevin Love. So your forward position is fine starting, and you can always add, J.R. Smith to the starting shooting guard position. You can add Rodney Hood. So you still have length, you still have athleticism, you still have size. Don't forget they got a backup point guard in Jordan Clarkson. They also got Larry Nance, a guy that can play the 3, the 4, or the 5 sometimes. He's an athlete. He's athletic. He can jump out the gym. Jordan Clarkson is a guy that's instant offense. He can, run the offense. He can explode and get you points. And he also is quick enough, fast enough to guard the point guard position. He's not really known as a defender, but that's what you have George Hill for, is to guard the point guards that's starting. And obviously Jordan Clarkson can tear it up coming off the bench. If you look at this for the Jazz, this is not really going to hurt them at all. They get Jay Crowder and Iman Shumpert. The Cavaliers trade Derrick Rose, Jay Crowder to the Jazz. They don't really need Derrick Rose. He's on a 1-year deal. The Jazz obviously might let him play because they do need some point guards. But worst case scenario, they waive him so he can go to another team. And Jay Crowder is a guy that his contract is almost up. If you can try him out, see if you want to keep him. If you don't, you can buy him out or trade him for a pick to somebody else. Worst case scenario, you buy him out and get salary cap relief. And like I said, he has been a shell of himself playing for the Cavaliers, but you never know. He might play better for you. And like I said, the Jazz at this point, they either going to make the playoffs or miss it barely. And if they miss it barely, they're going to get a mid pick anyway. So, Jay Crowder can either add them a pick or they can just use his veteran to rub off of some of the younger players. And they got off that contract of Rodney Hood. He's going to be a restricted free agent. You probably don't want to bring him back. You probably don't want to overpay him. And you probably wasn't going to pay him anyway because he shows signs of being great, but he hasn't been great consistently, and that's what you want out of a player that you're going to pay a lot of money to, and he hasn't been able to do that. But he's going to have a reduced role in Cleveland, so that means that he should be a better fit for them, and all they really need him to do is shoot threes and guard his position and switch, and that's all he's going to really have to do in Cleveland, and that's why it's a good fit for them. Iman Shumpert goes to the Kings. They don't really need him. They probably just gonna find a way to either trade him, and if they keep him, he's gonna be a solid defender. But I don't really see Iman Shumpert as a part of their long-term plans, honestly. The Jazz trade Rodney Hood to the Cavs and Joe Johnson to the Kings. Joe Johnson is going to be a buyout, so I don't think the Kings going to keep Shumpert that long or Johnson that long. If they do, they get veterans that can show the young players how to be professionals. And like I said, the Kings are so far behind of making the playoffs that they might as well just try to get what they can get out of them or just clear roster space so they can get salary cap to get somebody else or even trade up in the draft. So. And the Kings obviously get George Hill going to the Cavs, which they really needed. So I like these trades for the Cavs. It gives them athleticism with Clarkson, with Larry Nance, with obviously George Hill and Rodney Hood. Give them size, length, and athleticism and ability to shoot the three. George Hill can shoot the three. And the best part about these players is they don't need the ball to be effective. They don't need the ball to give a big impact. And that's basically what you want around a LeBron team. People that can snipe the three-point shot and play great defense and help LeBron on that end of the floor and switch. That's very important against the Golden State Warriors. You have players like Jeff Green. You have players like Rodney Hood. You have players like J.R. Smith. If he's having a bad game, you can always plug in Rodney Hood. And worst case scenario, you have a good bench with Clarkson, with Hood, with George Hill, depending if they want to keep Jose Calderon, which I think they don't have anymore. But I like the trade. You get a fresh start. Hopefully the chemistry, because remember they made the J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert, and Mozgov trades, and they ended up going to the finals. They ended up becoming a different team. They ended up changing their identity. They got rid of Deion Waiters, and this could be a trade where you get rid of Crowder, who's not really giving you much. You get rid of Derrick Rose, who's not really giving you much, and you get rid of Shumpert, who hasn't really given you much, and you bring in new players that's hungry, that want to win and want a chance at a championship, and they got glad that they actually get a chance, and you playing with one of the best players in the league in LeBron James, who makes your job a lot easier, and he gives you an easier role, and you're winning games. Obviously, they needed a refresh. Obviously, they needed a reboot. Obviously, the team that they had wasn't working, even though it does have something to do with chemistry, and it does have something to do with the injuries that the Cavaliers have had in the beginning of the season and missing out Isaiah Thomas for half of the season. Now they put in pieces around LeBron that actually make sense and actually fit. And they're going to be paying a lot of money because George Hill getting paid a lot of money. Rodney Hood, if they don't keep him, he can cost them a lot of money in the future. And obviously, you have a player and that's going to cost them a lot of money in the future if they want to keep this team intact. But they had to move some players around because the team that they had just wasn't working, and it made sense to get younger. It made sense to have more athleticism with Nance, with Clarkson, with Hood, with Hill, and adding three-point shooting with Clarkson, Hood, and Hill. And then on top of that, you get Nance, who can be a versatile player and give you effort, energy, hustle, fight, something that they don't really get out of nobody but probably besides Tristan Thompson. And he can add length and size inside, and he can play the 3 or the 4 or the 5 depending on the lineup, and he gives you ability to switch too. So these trades make sense. Put a bunch of players that's role players around a team of Kevin Love and LeBron, and they all can shoot and space out the floor, and a lot of them can create their own shot, and they can knock down a three when they're open, and that is like the perfect game plan if you want to build around LeBron, which they seem like they're going to do. And on top of that, you get younger doing that, and you still have the size, the length, and the athleticism. That's the most important part. Let me know what you guys think about the trade in the comment section below. Was it stupid? Was it smart? They doing too much. The chemistry ain't gonna be there. They gotta pay too many players. They're still not gonna beat Golden State, even though they have more size and length now, and they got more 3-point shooters. That's better than what they had before, because Crowder was struggling, Rose was struggling. He's been out for majority of the season, and you get rid of all these players that really wasn't working for a team that has fresh blood and youth and athleticism in size and length. Let me know in the comment section below. Check out my website, NosisPlayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. Check out my Facebook page at NosisPlayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm gone. Let me know what you guys think.